It is time to defrag your failures, because you never lose, you are always learning. Whenever you are failing forward, because you know more now versus before you entered into this situation. And we need to talk about this. Defragmentation is the key, because nothing that you've been through will be wasted. Everything happens for a reason. I'm Sensei Victoria Whitfield, founder of strategicmeditation.com, where I help impact-driven entrepreneurs and leaders like you get and stay grounded and clear in mind, body, and business. It's my joy to send positive energy, encouragement, and inspiration so that you can increase your energy. And that way, when you do, you'll increase your income and impact. If that speaks to you, make sure you like, share, subscribe, right? I'm on a mission to make sure that every self-employed individual out there who's making a difference in the world is being visionary, which means you're the one who sees the way forward when no one else can. We need your help now more than ever. So this is the second installment in our exploration of the second chapter of Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, which, by the way, if you don't know, this is the sequel to Think and Grow Rich. So if you are a fan of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, like me, you study this all the time. Did you know that 70 years after he died, finally they published the sequel to Think and Grow Rich, and that is Outwitting the Devil. And in this series, so we're on chapter 1 of Outwitting the Devil, The Secrets to Freedom and Success by Napoleon Hill. And in this series, we're looking at being our own spiritual software developer, spiritual software engineering. And what's your software? This is your mindset, right? How you see the world, how you operate and interact with the world around you. And we're approaching mindset work, right? And making sure that we keep positive focus and belief in ourselves and in the work that we're called to do. We're taking a technological approach, right? We're applying a technological lens so that we understand this on a deeper level, right? The work that Napoleon Hill does in this book. And in particular, this week, my spirit guides told me to introduce you or reintroduce you to a concept called defragging. So for those of you who are familiar with computers, right, or maintaining databases and all of that, you understand what defragging means. So if you have a computer and you're using applications, you're uploading and downloading things, you're working on your reports or on your projects and so on and so forth. And after a while, it's just kind of running slow. So you do the software update and okay, it's a little better, but it's still running a little bit, not quite well. One thing that you may want to look at is, of course, hitting the reset button, as everyone in tech support knows, like just start with a reset. But after that, if you're still having some glitchy things, you may want to run a disk defragmentation. And I'll read to you what's the definition of this. So this is, so it says, defragmentation, also known as defragging, is the process of reorganizing data on a storage device to improve access and storage efficiency. It rearranges fragmented files so that related segments are stored contiguously next to like, right? Like with like, as my friend Andrew Mellon would say, which can significantly improve a computer's performance. How it works: defragmentation software consolidates fragmented files aligning related pieces together. This decreases the time it takes to read and write to the disk, speeding up the computer. So you may not remember the fact that every computer has a hard drive. Even your phone has a hard drive. And so it's super important that that disk, the hard drive of the disk where all of the memory of the data is stored, is able to operate at optimum levels. That gives you the ability to access the information. And my spirit guide showed me this concept of defragmentation for our own spiritual development today in particular, kyo dake wa, just for today, as we say in Japanese, as we say in Reiki, kyo dake wa, just for today. We want to focus on defragmenting our idea of what is failure. Because if, okay, this happened in my childhood, and this happened yesterday at the office, and then this happened, 2 years ago, in my relationship, and it's a similar failure to communicate, or a similar failure to voice your boundaries, or a similar failure over here and over here and over here, without defragmenting that, bringing them together, reuniting and consolidating, looking at it as a pattern of learning, we won't have the ability to receive what's the spiritual lesson for me. Instead, I'm just going to do this over here, and I'm going to do this over here, and I'm going to do this over here. And I am never able to learn and improve. As the spiritual software developer, right? As the maintainer of your hard drive, right? Your body of data is your body of experience, your memories, your personality, your feelings, your values, and what you stand for. If you don't have the ability to access what's the most important to you, what's the most relevant to you, the data, the experiences in you that inform how you need to be now, right? What's going to happen instead is you're just going to follow the leader. So you'll go with whatever trend is popular right now on TikTok. You'll go with whatever everyone else says is important and you should be focusing on. You'll go with what other people say is the image of health that you should be, rather than looking at your own data and looking at what didn't work, right? Failures, right? What didn't work for you in the past. And you will not see your own self in your experience. Instead, you will see what other people say. This has happened to me personally in my own journey, where I thought my value was based off of me being skinny, but now what matters most is how I feel, rather than what matters most is what others say, such as the magazines, right, or the movies, etc. What matters most is how I feel versus what others say. And so as I look over the course of my life, failure after failure after failure in my body, issues with digestion, issues with energy levels and exhaustion, etc., wondering, why am I so tired, or why am I always hungry, or why don't I ever feel healthy in the past, was because all of my previous issues I was ignoring. It was fragmented. But once I defragged, right, got my disk defrag, and I aligned up, you know what? I want great digestion. That's important to me. I also want a really great immune system. That's important to me. And I actually like what it feels like when I do deadlifts. And I really like how I feel after a 45-minute sweat in the morning. And I like being able to hike in the forest for an hour and a half, 2 hours or more straight. I like how all of these things feel. And I've failed to be able to realize them before in the past. What's the pattern for me? Is strength. Strength for me personally, right, as I talk about defragging my failures, and working on my own mindset, putting myself on the operating table, hopefully so that you can start to see yourself on your own work table, right? As I looked at that, I decided, oh, wow, I want to be strong. I don't care about being skinny, someone else's version of healthy. That doesn't mean I'm going to let myself go. Instead, I'm going to pursue lifting heavy, which I love now. And I've been doing for a couple years straight, and it's so fun. I love powerlifting. And I feel great in my body because of that, right? So it's time for you today to defrag your failures, looking at what didn't work before in the past and ascertaining, what's the pattern of me that comes out of seeing my history, my personal data. And now we're going to bring this over to Napoleon Hill, right? Because we can get distracted from doing the inner work, seeking others to answer these questions for us. Let's talk about it. Napoleon Hill writes, "The most dramatic moment in my life. The turn came suddenly in fall of 1927. I left the house one night and walked up to the public school building on the top of the hill above town. I had reached a decision to fight the matter out with myself before that night ended, and I began to walk around the building, trying to force my befuddled brain to think clearly. I must have made several hundred trips around the building before anything even remotely resembled organized thought began to take place in my mind." He was going through his defrag. Here we go. "As I walked, I repeated over and over to myself, quote, 'There is a way out, and I am going to find it before I go back into the house.' End quote. I must have repeated that sentence 1,000 times. Moreover, I meant exactly what I was saying. I was thoroughly disgusted with myself, but I entertained a hope of salvation. Then, like a flash of lightning out of a clear sky, an idea burst into my mind with such force that the impulse drove my blood up and down my veins. Quote, 'This is your testing time. You have been reduced to poverty and humiliated in order that you might be forced to discover your other self.' For the first time in years, I recalled what Mr. Carnegie had said about this other self. I recalled now that he said I would discover it toward the end of my labor of research into the causes of failure and success, and that the discovery usually came as the result of an emergency when men are forced to change their habits and to think their way out of difficulty. I continued to walk around the schoolhouse, but now I was walking on air. Subconsciously, I seemed to know that I was about to be released from my self-made prison into which I had cast myself." So Napoleon Hill, in this section of chapter 1, relays the experience of doing the inner reflection work. And he was moving his body. He's like, I am not allowed to go back in the house until I figure this one thing out for me, right? And because of that stress and that painful situation, but also his resolve that there is hope and that there is an answer, boom, it popped in for him. He did the defragmentation work. He walked went around and around and around, searching his mind, the same way that a computer would search the hard drive, going around and around and around. You ever watch the defrag happen? It goes around and around, searching for similar files to gather them together. And as you watch it happen, it's even color-coded until, boom, it's done. And beautifully aligned, finally, right? This is what you're called to today, Kyoodakeba, just for today, is to do self-reflection to see, okay, what has not worked in the past for me, in my life, in my body, in my business, in my household. What has not worked, and what is that trying to tell me? The tarot card of the day is King of Fire. King of Fire as a challenger. It says motivational, idealistic, ambitious, charismatic, focus, 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 communicate with vision, and be a leader. Advice from someone creative. I'll keep reading. Devote your energy and time to the task at hand. You're in a position of leadership and you inspire others with your enthusiasm. You may also receive advice from someone who excels at creative solutions and entrepreneurial ventures, speaking in front of a group, the courage of one's convictions, making a difference. So the King of Fire, fire is action, right? And influence. And the king is about ownership. But when it's upside down, what this essentially means is imposter syndrome, where you doubt if you're making a difference. You doubt if people are really getting it and are okay with you being in leadership. You doubt if you are an expert. You doubt if you know enough. And that because of that, right, all that imposter syndrome, because of that, you doubt if it's okay to go pedal to the metal. That's why you need to defrag your failures, right? Because there's something, a pattern in you that you're not acknowledging that is a wisdom pattern. It is your stripes that you've earned, right? From the school of hard knocks. That is only for you, only your story. You've got to do the work today in particular. Defrag your failures. And how we're going to do that, as always, is with a strategic meditation to help us embody and go through the process, right? And so you're going to open up our Be Visionary Movement membership platform called School, and you're going to go to the search bar. You're going to type Wisdom Learning Path Guide. Wisdom Learning Path Guide. It's 17 minutes. So this is from the Guided Vision Journeys section of our vault of visualizations. And when you do this strategic meditation, what the Wisdom Learning Path Guide is going to show you is all of the pattern, all of the wealth of wisdom that is in your hard drive, that's built in, all that data you have acquired in your heart, right? In your mind, in your life, right? All of that wisdom that gives you the authority to stand tall and be the expert, to be the leader, right? To be that king and take ownership, turning this right side up, take ownership of your role. Now, if you need any support in being able to do that, make sure that you click on the link in the description to book a call with me or send me a text, 732-903-8573. I want to hear from you and support you in defragging your failures so that you can perform at optimal levels. Mwah. Sensei Victoria Whitfield here from strategicmeditation.com, your spiritual software developer. And remember, you do not have to lose your glow as you grow in life and business. See you in the next one. Bye for now.